backstory with Pennard, right? The hype. Doak wrote about this place a long time ago. It was relatively anonymous, also a braid course. Braid came back years later with Ken Cotton and built more and did more with the golf course. It is always called the Links in the Sky, which I suppose would feel like to you and me we're thinking, okay, it's a cliff top.
Yeah, I've heard this before.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen Links in the Sky. So it's basically a parkland that sits on top of a cliff. So you see the sea, but actually doesn't play remotely like a links course. And I'm sort of thinking there's so much hype around this place, it actually can't deliver.
I was certain that Pennard was going to be the biggest disappointment of the trip.
I was with you on that. I thought there's so much hype, it just can't get there. Like I just don't understand.
And the
this.
hype is in kind of the people. I mean, I don't know. It's the people that know what they're talking about. You know, it's in the Golf Club Atlas. It's in Doak has written about it in his confidential guide. It's people that know what they're talking about have said this thing. But I didn't know whether it just got a bit ahead of itself because it was, you know, it'd been talked about by Tom Doak, who is iconic. And he said it's good, so it must be good. You know, we'll all say it's good because Tom Doak.
Because we'll all get on that bandwagon, won't we?
However,
you pull in, you're like, okay, yeah. I mean, like first impressions, it's like looks quite smoky, actually. To be fair, no, I'm kind of expecting like, you know, this is a level up from the sort of dramatic cliff toppy, you know, rolling grounds that you might sort of expect. This was like genuinely like playing golf on the moon. To look at it, it was like I've never seen texture of ground quite like it. It was like completely rolling.
Well, I suppose.
So
one
like,
of the things
first
that
impression
hit,
was like, wow.
Yeah, and one of the things that hit me really hard is, I suppose it's the same with all mountain courses or cliff top courses, is nearly every golf course that's ever been designed didn't start off with trees. They're not really carving them out of woods, because why would you? It's really hard work to do that unless you tree farm. But because of the nature of the cliff top course there, or the mountain course, or the links in the sky, because it is links, is you get out there and there's not a tree in sight. There's a derelict castle over in the far distance that you can see kind of hanging off the cliff.
12th century Norman castle.
And you can see for miles in nearly every direction. And there's, what you reckon, 7 greens visible from the clubhouse?
But like very quickly, once we had a nice bit of food and we walked out into that course and got on that first fairway, I was like, this doesn't feel like sort of Poana chalk, cliff top golf. This feels like rock hard link stuff. And as we played throughout the whole course, it's consistent. It is legitimate links for me. That's a fast running links golf course.
And it's the micro undulations in the land, that rumpled land that looks like it's been like you've scrumpled a piece of paper and then stretched it back out. That's the bit that really signifies to me links golf, is that sort of that rumpled land. And it's all rumpled, and we spoke about it in the rounds. I don't know how it's got here, because you're so high up, you're so high above the sea, and the sea's crashing around you, and it's like I can't work out how it's here.
Playing 5 in biblical rain, it was a majestic golf hole. I think I was 5 holes in, thinking, yeah, this is dangerously good. This, and then you play 7 with the sun out, rain had stopped. Huge undulations in the land, like huge.
It is like the moon.
You lose people in those dunes within the fairway, like huge. And the whole thing went on in similar vein. The amazing thing with Pennard is there was at no point just a boring or bog standard golf hole, and you could totally excuse it. If you just got to 14, it was like, yeah, it's okay, it's just a bit of a straightaway 4. This one just gets you to the next. But you can't have that because that land doesn't exist. It's all crazy land. So there is literally no point you're playing anything that is a boring golf hole. There are some that I would say are perhaps a little bit OTT. 17 would stick in my mind as being one of the most bizarre holes I've ever played.
No, 17's a double dogleg par 5. You hit up blind drive, but it tells you where to hit. You hit up to kind of a gentle left to right slope, and then it doglegs right, and then immediately doglegs left, and it's left and right is gorse. death course, left and right. But you could advance it 150 yards where you could see it.
Yeah, agreed.
But you knew the green was another 70 odd yards up, a bit further up on the left, but you had to carry all the course. And of course, it gives you enough to think, oh yeah, I could have a crack at this. Whereas it's par 5, like just knock it up there 160 yards and chip it on, pitch on from 70 yards. And then it's an easy 5. But
it probably is one of the most breathtaking bits of scenery I've ever played golf on. The land is probably the most exceptional land I've seen on a golf course. Greens are excellent. I mean, in terms of the shapes, there's a huge amount of variety among the golf holes. Yeah, the hype is real about Pennard, and it's it has benefited from this hype. Like, there's no getting away from it. The green fees are higher there. They've increased their green fees, and they now have 7 greenkeepers. I dare say 20 years ago they perhaps didn't. But the club still has a wonderfully authentic feel. It hasn't changed in that sense. It's still a really nice place to go. It hasn't got carried away with fame and fortune, but the hype is 100% real. If I had to, I feel like I can't just gush about the place. So, what I would say is, I wouldn't do 36 there. I mean, it was windy and we were knackered from getting soaked. It really takes your energy out of you, that does. But it's a bloody big walk.
Difficult walk.
It's huge land to scale.
But it's because of just the vastness and the epicness of each hole, which is why it's a big walk.
And I think the most brilliant part of that was the way the sun just gives you enough, doesn't it? It's like the game of golf. It's like, just give us a little bit of sun just to get the drone in the air, because it would be a crying shame not to show how good that golf course looks. And it gave it you for all of about 10 minutes, and you just went waz-tastic with the drone. Yeah, I mean, staggeringly good golf. Amazingly overlooked for somewhere that's so close to Scotland, Ireland and England, really.